Shalom, my friends. Shalom.
Um,
This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And how delighted and thrilled I am to be talking to a longtime playwright and screenwriter and actor. Let me tell you some of the things this man has done. He wrote the TV movie Choices of the Heart. He wrote the play Voices in the Dark, which was an Edgar Award-winning mystery play. He wrote the Broadway shows The Boys of Winter and Sleight of Hand. He adapted The Exorcist into a play that was done in Los Angeles with Brooke Shields and Richard Chamberlain, no less. He has also acted. You can, it's not on YouTube, unfortunately, but at some point on public television, he played writer J.M. Barrie in a show called Courage. He also wrote the TV miniseries World Without End, and very important, debuting tonight on Lifetime Network is his latest TV writing screenplay show called Long Island Serial Killer, A Mother's Hunt for Justice. Doesn't that sound like fun? And most of all, and it pains me to say this because I am obviously Jewish, but his most famous thing, this is the man who wrote the play and the movie Agnes of God, all about, you should pardon the expression, nuns. So ladies, won't you please join me in the Daverhood in welcoming John Pielmeier. Shalom, John.
Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm glad you're happy. I love that writer's nook. Now, that isn't a fake background on Zoom. That is your space. I see.
This is not a fake background. This is my space, right?
Someone's asking, did you make that boat?
No, I didn't. A good friend of mine made it. He, a man who is responsible for, was at one time responsible for the Christmas windows at Tiffany's and things like that. And he made that boat and gave it to me for my last birthday or last Christmas, I think it was. Something. It's a boat that he put in the window of a library in New York City. When he did when that library sponsored a premiere reading of my novel Hook's Tale. His construction of Hook's pirate ship.
So what is the connection with you and so obviously you're a Peter Pan fan. What is the connection?
Well, it's not so much. I mean, it started out as a Peter Pan thing, but I really hooked into Barrie when I saw a production of a play of his that is very seldom done called What Every Woman Knows. And this was many years ago, and I was just blown away by this play. It was a fabulous production, and I was in Louisville, Kentucky. It was an Actors Theater of Louisville, and I instantly went to the Louisville Library, and lo and behold, they had a collected works of J.M. Barrie, the plays, and I pulled that out, and I just read them one after the other, and just fell in love with all of these plays of his that I didn't know. And so, at the same time, right after that, I started reading a biography of him that came out, and just was so moved by his story. I said, I have to write a one-person show on this. So I contacted the Barrie estate and was able to get permission, and I wrote this play, which occasionally is done, and I still do myself on occasion.
Well, let me ask you, I mean, since we brought up the J.M. Barrie thing, when you mentioned J.M. Barrie, no matter what other plays he wrote, no matter what else he did, his autobiography, it's like, oh, J.M. Barrie, Peter Pan, J.M. Barrie, Peter Pan. With you, all the TV shows you've done, everything you've done, it's still gonna be, with all, unless you write another huge Broadway hit, if Broadway comes back, it's gonna be, oh, John Pielmeier, Agnes of God, John Pielmeier. How do you feel about that?
Well, at times, when in my earlier years, occasionally I would get a little irritated. I'd say, hey, wait, I've done more than that. I've written more than that. But now I sort of embrace it. I love it. It's fine. It launched my career in so many ways and gave me so many wonderful things. And why should I object to that?
Here's the question. I'm curious about that. Dave, the host of this program, the producer, yes, who allows me to do this. Dave, sorry?
Is he a nice guy?
Oh, asshole. But we won't. But he's been reading this old book by William Gibson, another playwright, the guy who wrote Miracle Worker. And he wrote a book about writing a play called Two for the Seesaw.
Right.
Right, the Seesaw Chronic, Seesaw something. So this autobiographical memoir book that he wrote had to do with the simus that he went through of taking this nice play that he thought, oh, somebody likes it, somebody's going to put it on stage, and we'll do it. And it's just like, ay, my, ay, my, ay. So let me ask you, when you had Agnes of God, right, on
Right.
Broadway first, and then turning it get into a movie, was it? Did you write the play and say, okay, somebody wants to produce this is fantastic, or suddenly it's like, oh, I've got to write for this star, I've got to cut this, the producers want this, the actress wants that. How did it go for you?
That was certainly in terms of Agnes and playwriting. I've had just wonderful experiences with actors and there's I first of all, I'm a writer who loves to rewrite. I believe that writing is all about rewriting, and if anything, directors have to stop me from rewriting in rehearsal. They have to say, no, that's enough, you don't have to do anymore. I just love that. By the time Agnes got to Broadway, it had been done many times. It started at the Eugene O'Neill Playwrights Conference. There was an amateur production of it on the island of Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica. There was the first professional production, which was at Actors Theater of Louisville. And then after that, there were 5 or 6 regional productions before it came to New York. So
Actually, when it was in Jamaica, was it Agnes of Jah? Did they? I don't know what that means. Well, all right. So you had a pretty fabulous time of it on Broadway, but now you had to bring this material to the screen. Did you have to lose stuff that you loved on stage? When you wrote the screenplay, did 5 other screenwriters get involved? Because that's what happens in Hollywood.
I was again blessed with having Norman Jewison as a director, and Norman was just terrific. And in one of our first meetings, anyone who knows the play knows that the play essentially takes place in an empty stage. There's no time period mentioned. There's no location mentioned. And obviously that isn't going to work for a movie. So the first challenge was, so where do we set it? What do we do about that? And Norman, who is Canadian, said, why don't we set it in Quebec? Because in Montreal, because he said, he said Montreal courtrooms actually have a crucifix on the wall behind the judge. And he said, that sort of is kind of fascinating in terms of this play, because it's sort of a legal drama as well as a religious piece.
Remind me not to get a parking ticket in Montreal. My God, I'm not going into that court. No.
And exactly. And but the wonderful thing about Montreal is it's sort of this blend of 2 cultures. I mean, it has a very European feel to it, certain sections of it, and we love that about it. So as soon as Norman said, let's set it in Montreal, I said, fantastic, that's great. And that kind of gave me a way into writing the screenplay.
Now, do you have any stories, any anecdotes, positive or negative or wonderful or not, about working with not just Norman Jewison, but Jane Fonda, Anne Bancroft, Amanda Plummer?
Here's the amazing thing. Here's the fascinating thing. You just brought up 2 for the Seesaw Chronicles, because in it, William Gibson talks about, I believe this has happened, that Anne Bancroft did 2 for the Seesaw with Henry Fonda, and they did not get along. Fonda actually, I think, left the production early, and I don't know the reasons behind that. But when we started Agnes of God, we rehearsed in Los Angeles for 2 weeks. And Norman rehearsed it as if it were a play. And I was present on the first day of this rehearsal when Anne Bancroft met Jane Fonda for the first time. And I mean, obviously nothing was mentioned about 2 for the Seesaw, but it was fascinating to me that here are these 2 women with this Henry Fonda connection in between, meeting for the first time. And it was just wonderful. And of course, they worked beautifully together and got along so well. And that was wonderful for me, because Norman rehearsed this movie as if it were a play. We did 2 weeks of rehearsal in which the actors would come in and Norman would stage a scene. Obviously, the only difference in that staging for the movie was that there wasn't any audience point of view he had to worry about. He could move the camera anywhere. He would stage a scene, and the actors would come in the next day off book and rehearse it that way as if it were a play. It was so wonderful, and they were all so professional and so good at it. It was terrific.
And Amanda Plummer, she won a Tony for it. I think she just. I mean, it was just the book was
brilliant.
So, but here you are. We're going back, I think, to the 1980s on this.
Right.
You've got this hit play, hit movie. So you figure, was there that moment in you, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Every year or two, I'm going to write a play. It may not be as big a hit as Agnes of God, but I'll get a play on Broadway with famous actors, and this will be my life. But then you don't always have. So how do you do? You know, you get through another opening night, and suddenly you realize not
Well,
time.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if I didn't really project what that future was. I didn't know what my future was going to be. I was around the time of Agnes of God. I also started writing movies for television, which eventually turned out to be sort of my bread and butter in many ways. And there's some that I'm very, very proud of. But when Agnes, I was so kind of numb as a young writer. I was kind of lost. I didn't know what was going on. So I remember seeing the marquee of Agnes of God on Broadway for the first time with my name there. And I was astonished because I didn't really feel anything. I was so shut down. In subsequent Broadway productions, I've allowed myself to get really excited about seeing this thing. It's very exciting, but I'm not quite sure why I was so, it was so kind of a surprising non-event to me that I think I was just terrified and astonished by it. Never thought this would happen in my life. So
Yeah. So when you had other shows like Boys of Winter and Sleight of Hand, what was the feel like? The show would open, you kind of got a sense. First of all, do you read reviews? Or
I don't.
At what point
I do not read reviews.
Ever, or even after the show's closed, never.
Never. Why should I? It's just the good reviews are never good enough. The bad reviews are simply painful. You don't learn anything from the reviews. It's difficult to learn. I spoke to I had worked at one time with Teller, a Penn and Teller, and he told me once that he said he doesn't read reviews either after Frank Rich gave a wonderful review to a show of his at a Penn and Teller show on Broadway, and Frank Rich raved about it, but Teller said he completely missed the entire point of the play. And he said, so after that, I decided not to read reviews anymore. Even though this was a rave, he didn't get it. So I thought, okay, that really helps give me permission not to do this, not to read these reviews.
So, I vaguely remember David, the host of this program, telling me about Voices in the Dark. I think that was the last play that you had on Broadway, and that was it wasn't quite a flop. It wasn't quite a hit, I think. And Judith Ivey was in there, and it was so again when that opens. I mean, this time you allowed yourself, I guess, to be excited.
I got excited about that. Yeah.
Do you assume that every time you have that opening night, and since we don't read reviews, you don't know that okay, it's going to be another 2 year.
It's a terrifying moment for me because I have never been a favorite of the critics, and
not even. I'm saying even keeping shows open and audiences buying box office and
but I have no control over that.
Right.
All I can do is write the play and hope that what gets up there is as good as it can possibly be at the time, and it's up to the producer and the publicist and other people to keep it running and keep it open, not me.
But the thing is, because of that, you can get to write more plays for Broadway. You concentrated essentially on TV. So on some of the Broadway lost you for like 2 decades or more, which is unfortunate. That's the one negative thing is so you had mentioned that there were a couple or several perhaps TV scripts, TV movies that you were particularly proud of.
Well, yeah. First of all, I want to say I know there's lots of bad stories about Hollywood, writers working in Hollywood, and Hollywood has been unbelievably kind and wonderful to me, much nicer to me than the New York than Broadway has in so many ways. And I've had just wonderful experiences through that. I guess my favorite adaptation piece that I wrote for television was the adaptation of Ken Follett's The Pillars of the Earth, which was an 8-hour miniseries that I wrote, and it was just a fabulous experience, pretty much from beginning to end. And I actually acted in it, and I'm still close to several of the actors who performed in it. It was a glorious experience.
Right. So, and now you're talking in terms of the experience of doing the whole thing, and then
Yes, right.
what other final product, what other, like if they were on Lifetime or Netflix or whatever, what other TV movies would you say that, oh, you should definitely make sure you, if you've never seen it, or see it again?
I think I wrote a movie called Sins of the Father that was premiered on FX many years ago. It was actually their first, I think it was their first television movie. That did very well, and I got a Writers Guild nomination for it, and it's a piece that I'm especially proud of.
Well, stop right there, because that's a writer's question. What makes you prouder of one piece than you would be of another? You work just as hard. Sometimes you spend more hours on something that you work harder on, or less. What makes you prouder about certain things?
It's a combination of, first of all, feeling that the script is that the script itself that I created is a terrific script, that piece that I'm proud of. But it's also about the execution of it. That I feel that the director and the actors really kind of got it right, or made significant improvements to my script, which I'm humbly always happy to acknowledge. You know.
Did anybody screw it up real bad in a TV situation?
Oh yeah, sometimes I don't like to talk about those. You know,
don't mention names, but what did they do? In other words, you don't have to be too specific. But I'm curious. Like, you thought something was good, and then you saw the thing, you say, "Oh, oy."
Well, yeah, there was a movie that I wrote that turns out, and I was not present on the set for this, so I just heard about this, that there was that whenever a movie is for television release is about to be done, they have a timers do it. They have people who are really good at reading a script and estimating about how much time a movie is going to run. And on television, you're very restricted on the amount of time that you have. And I wrote a pair of scripts that were shot back to back, thematically connected, and the timer timed the two of them together instead of individually, so that the first movie ended up unbelievably short. So they had to fill in with all of these rather boring shots of city shots, you know. Oh my God,
literally filler.
Slow. You know, I was so that, you know, there's an example of something. You know, oh boy. Okay.
Well, let me ask you also another writer's kind of question in terms of, do you appreciate, are you like sort of the Alan Eckborn type, where you love the fact that, let's say television, you have to have an 8-minute scene and then the commercial break, and then you know that there is these limitations, these obstacles, these structures to work around? Or do you prefer just blank page, blank canvas?
Well, you know, I like them both. You know, and theater is all about the blank canvas, and it has its own restrictions, which can be fun. I mean, I feel the laws, the restrictions is what make it fun and challenging, and things that I really respond to. And I love television because when I have an act structure, for example, the movie that's airing tonight, I had to write in 9 acts. So I'm very aware. I'm kind of writer who's very aware of act breaks when I write for television. Now, all the act breaks that I wrote are not necessarily the act breaks that you'll be seeing tonight, but
Well, have you seen it?
Pardon?
Have you seen the finished film, or you?
I just saw it yesterday, actually, for the first time. So I was very pleased with it. So,
by the way, it's called, I should remind people, it's Long Island Serial Killer: A Mother's Hunt for Justice, and it's on the Lifetime Network at 8:00 Eastern Time. It will be debuting, and I assume on Lifetime, if you miss it tonight, over the next week or two, you still hopefully be able to get to see it. But it's true about, sometimes it's the thing you have to get around that forces you. How long did it take you, and how did you learn to write for the medium of television in a way that, oh, I know how to do this?
Well, my first project was a piece called Choices of the Heart, and which was a movie that was done on NBC about the 4 church women who were murdered in El Salvador in 19.
Oh, fun. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so again, we're dealing with nuns, but and I started writing this a year after these murders happened, so they were very immediate, and the focus was really on the one lay woman involved. And I was listening to her. She did a lot of recording of diaries of her time in El Salvador. So here I am sitting listening to her recordings just a little over a year after she had been murdered. And it took me a while to kind of write that script, because I was kind of learning as I went along. But as time went on, I got so much better at doing things and sort of found the path that I could do. I mean, one script that I wrote for television, I was hired in January and was told that it had to be shooting in June. So I had about 2 months to get it done. So, and I was able to be an incredibly fast writer once I know what I'm doing. So.
And do you have a regimen? I mean, do you block out like 3 hours in the morning and then an hour later in the day for rewrites, and then you do with other? Or
when I'm writing specifically on a project with a deadline, I'll get up and I'll start working in the morning, and I'll work as long as I feel I have to. If I don't have a deadline, I usually will do my writing in the morning, and again write until I feel the well is dry for the day. You know,
what do you do?
It's all about rewriting to me. It's about going back the next day and rereading and reworking what I've done the day before, and the next day I go back and reread and rework everything I've done up until that point. So.
Do you do the Pomodoro thing that so many people are doing, like 25 minutes and then stop for 5 minutes, and or you just go and drink?
No, I just go. My body knows when it has to stop, you know, or my brain, whatever.
Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, but could you about read to us just a line or 2 or 3 or 4 from The Witch of Malakazoo?
Yeah, actually, I have it here on my wall. Wait. The Witch of Mal. I started writing plays when I was a child. I've never seen a play, but I just started writing these things. And The Witch of Malakazoo was based on, essentially, I'd read Charles Lamb's adaptation of The Winter's Tale, Shakespeare's Winter's Tale. And this kind of fired me up. And I still, to this day, appreciate Lamb's adaptation better than the original play. But it's very much of a fairy tale kind of thing. So I thought, I'm going to write a play like this. So I wrote a play called The Witch of Malakazoo, and it started out, it was a verse play initially. And I actually have here a page of my scribblings of my first page. I don't remember ever writing down anything other than this as a child. It starts out, I'm the Witch of Malakazoo. I have a plan, a terrible plan, and this is what I'm going to do.
Well, there's the I Want song, if that was ever a musical.
That's it. Where is this? Well, there's a lot of things I don't know. One verse says, I've killed the king as you have seen, and in his dungeon lies his queen. There are no heirs to the throne, so I shall rule. Yes, I alone. I mean,
how old were you? That's pretty damn. I'm not kidding. That it's not only does it rhyme and not only does it have cadence, but you've set a scene. The exposition is there in like 4 lines. Here's who I am. This is what I want to do. This is what I've done. There's your backstory.
Thank you for pointing that out. I never realized that before. Thought about that before.
Man, when did you think that writing would not just be something you wanted to do hobby-wise or as a side thing, but I'm going to do this for real?
It was when Agnes of God was accepted at the by the O'Neill conference. I remember getting the call that day, thinking my life. I was an actor up to that point, and doing just fine as an actor. But when I got the call that day of that acceptance, I realized my life had suddenly taken a different path. It was like it was a fork in the road, and I thought I was going this way, but suddenly I realized, no, now I'm going down this path. I was very conscious of that moment.
And they did it there with Lloyd Richards doing the little speech and the whole.
Exactly. Yes, it was, and there was actually a trivia question on Jeopardy many years ago that involved that the actor who originally played Agnes of God at the O'Neill was Diane Wiest.
Oh my gosh! Now here's another, all these little internal interstices, actor and writer questions. It's sort of like, why not keep Diane, because she's a fine actress?
She was brilliant. Yeah, so, I don't really remember I think she wasn't available at the time. I don't really remember the reasoning behind that.
Because I wondered about that. There are shows. One of the things David's told me about the O'Neill Center and the Critics Institute and places there. So he's been there and he's seen it, and he always figures, well, the actors are there to get the play on its feet and to rework it, and the playwright is doing rewrites. But you figure the actor's like, if this goes somewhere and I'm good, next step, I'm going with it. And it's always kind of sad when the actor on Broadway doesn't get to do the thing on the movies, and the actor in Oshkosh doesn't get to do it in Hartford or New Haven, and then the New Haven doesn't get to do it. I mean, that it's part of the game, I guess.
Yeah, it's always, it's hard and it's sad, and but that's I don't have, and as a writer, I certainly have a say of casting in New York on Broadway, but I have absolutely no say in television or film about how the casting. I mean, often people will run names by me and see what I think about them, but I have really no weight in that regard in terms of casting for film and television. In all of my writing for, I've had like 25 plus films done on television, and in those writing, there were only 2 instances where actors that I had in mind while I was writing the piece ended up playing those.
Do you remember who?
One, yes. The first one was Nigel Hawthorne. I did an adaptation. I did a movie for National Geographic, their first television movie, about the search for Stanley's search for Livingston in Africa. And when I was writing Livingston, I could only see Nigel Hawthorne playing, and he ended up doing it in. But
you didn't suggest it to anybody. You didn't say even, hey, Nigel Hawthorne would be good.
I don't think I did. I may have mentioned it, I'm sure, but but it was pure luck that they ended up with him.
And what was the other? You said there was another.
I'm trying to think of the other one. It sort of slips my mind. I did some Daniel Sunyata. I did a Patricia Cornwell adaptation of a couple of novels of hers, and when I was writing it, I thought this is the guy who should be playing those parts. And he ended up playing those on.
Now, here's an interesting thing. A lot of the things that you've done for TV, success begets success, and also in Hollywood and I guess the TV world, you do something, you get known for a niche. So if it involves psychos and killer nuns and
I do a lot,
killers of nuns, you're good with killers, nun killers, and people who kill them. So, but what is the furthest outside of what people would consider your wheelhouse to be? Of a script you've written? John Pielmeier wrote, and you took that on?
Well, I write a lot of funny things that nobody thinks about. I have a number of short pieces in some that are published in a collection called Impassioned Embraces, and I've written some other things that are just short funny skits that are done a lot by students and colleges and
things
like that.
Let me also ask that I forgot to wiki how old you are, but however old you are, you look amazing. I mean, I would guess you're in your early 70s, maybe late 60s.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be 72 in a few days.
Make mazel. with Mazel McGlick. This is 20, 30, if you were to look at who's writing for television, sitcoms and things like that, it's people who are Phoebe Waller-Bridges' age or younger. It's people coming out of Harvard and Yale and whatever, and they're 23, and they get lucky and they get to Hollywood and they get an agent and they get... A lot of people your age don't even get to do what you are still doing. How have you been? Because you must know tons of writers and former playwrights and screenwriters where the work just kind of dries up and the phone doesn't work.
Sure. Ageism is a big problem in this business.
How have you skirted it? Just the right...
Well, sometimes I feel I haven't skirted it, but I just keep writing no matter, no matter what. I just, I have to write. It's what keeps me going.
No, but you get assignments. I mean, there are times you'll work on a musical with Maggie Solomon or somewhere, you do other things, but the work and the pay, the thing that pays for your breakfast cereal is your agent gives you, oh, here's an assignment, do it. And that keeps coming at you, which is amazing thing.
To some degree. I mean, there have been dry years lately, but what can I do about that? So I just have to keep a positive outlook and keep looking for work when I'm looking for work,
And in a dry year, is that when you write a new play or you work on a musical or a cute
exactly,
or a novel or something?
The last few years I haven't written anything for television, but I was working on the adaptation of The Exorcist, for example, which was, that kept me going, kept me busy. It was done in London and hopefully we'll be coming into New York once this COVID situation is over.
Because Brooke Shields, I mean, people can laugh, but her reviews, I know you don't read reviews, but she got great reviews. So
brilliant. Brooke was absolutely brilliant. I remember in that first production, of which I've done a significant rewrite, but in that first production that Brooke was in, the director said to me one day, "We are so lucky to have her. She was just wonderful."
And so I'm assuming this would be a situation where they want to bring her with the show to New York.
I don't know. I mean, the script as it now exists is a completely different script. I actually threw out that script of The Exorcist after that production. I just felt it wasn't scary enough for people. So I threw it out and completely approached the story from a completely different point of view. So
how do you make something more scary?
Well, the script that was done in Los Angeles was a script that was really where Father Marin, who was the old priest who comes in, the actual exorcist, it was sort of told in a way from his point of view. He was and it was a very somewhat intellectual script. The concept was, okay, what is really frightening here is not so much special effects, but just the concept of losing control of yourself, of being taken over by all of that sort of stuff. And it just didn't, some people loved it and a lot of people did not. And they wanted to be more scared. So I sort of threw that out and I wrote a script where Reagan, the little girl, is now really the center of the piece. And this was all with great support from William Peter Blatty, who wrote the original novel. I adapted the novel, not the movie, but he did the screenplay also for the movie. So
didn't he die recently? I think he
died about 2 years ago. Yes.
Okay, all right. So so this is already going back a bit, and from the producers who have an eye on it, presumably when things open up again. So do you prefer starting from scratch on something? Even if it's a TV movie about, or just, the Exorcist, I've got to read this book by somebody else and adapt it. Or do you?
I love it. It varies. I love adaptations. I'm really good at adaptations. I've done a lot of, I think, very successful adaptations for television. The Exorcist is the first adaptation I've done for the stage. But I really enjoy, if I respond to a piece of material, I really have a good time playing around with that. That's fun. But I also like projects that kind of come out of me. I get it, if I get excited, if I get an idea, get excited about that. It's a wonderful experience to come and start writing something that you don't know quite where it's going, and where it's going to end up. I wrote a novel a few years ago that was published called Hook's Tale, about which was essentially Captain Hook's story, his version of the Peter Pan story. And that just came to me just so, it just burst out of me. And I wrote this novel in 5 weeks, and I just sat and wrote every day. It was a fabulous creative experience, you know.
Well, and it was automatic audience, because everybody knows if you want to grab an audience, you always need a hook. But you know, sorry, I apologize terribly for that. You were up into the pandemic also getting back into being a performer, an actor.
Yes, right. I started out as an actor, and then I stopped for a long time, occasionally doing little things here and there. And then I started, I said, oh, I want to do this again. So I put myself out there and started acting again.
Does it give you a special perspective having written so much for actors, that when you get back on stage, do you have a certain special feeling for the writer or the screenwriter, the playwright, or whatever you're performing in?
Well, I sort of have different hats. I feel like when I have my actor hat and I have my playwriting hat, and I try to keep them very, very separate. The play that I did, I last did, was a new play by a wonderful playwright named Deborah Brevoort, about Marian Anderson and Albert Einstein and their relationship. I played Einstein, and I totally left my playwright hat at home while I was doing that. So I was just enjoying working on this new play as an actor. And it turned out very well. It was a really wonderful experience.
So let me ask you, we've all been dealing for the past 11 months with no theater, no restaurant, no nothing. How has the pandemic been for you?
Well, in many ways, it hasn't changed a lot for me, because this is my office. This is where I go every day to work. It certainly has affected me in terms of not going out to see theater. I have
New York, or where are you? I mean, you don't have to tell me the exact address, but are you in or near Manhattan, or what?
Yes, I live upstate. I live in Garrison, New York, which is very close. It's an hour plus into Manhattan. So I would, it was an easy train ride or an easy drive into Manhattan to see a play if I want to see a play. Wow. And interestingly enough, I was in rehearsal for my a new play, an adaptation of my novel Hook's Tale, called Hook's Tale, that was being produced at a theater called Stages in Houston, Texas. God help them. And
well, so God has to, yes.
Yeah. We were 5 days into rehearsal when we were told we all had to go home last March. So that is still going to be happening in Houston whenever things get back in their feet again. But the 5 days were terrific, because it was 5 days of table work. We were just sitting around. It's a 2-actor play. So it was me and the director and the 2 actors. And we were just reading through the play and working. I was doing a lot of rewrites. And after 5 days, we were ready to get up on our feet and start staging the play. And that's when we were sent home. But we ended up with a lovely new script out of these 5 days rehearsal. So when the pandemic's over, we'll go back into rehearsal and go forward.
Now, let me ask, not to get, but a little bit, we love the personal life. You've been married or are married?
Yes, I've been married. We've been together since 1977.
Mazel McGlick. Oh, that's so good. Congratulations. That's sort of a congratulations. How did you meet your wife?
We met several times, again and again and again, but by extraordinary coincidences, we were both actors at the Guthrie Theater, and that's when we sort of got to know each other. We had met before then, but we got to know each other then, and we moved to New York City within a month of each other, and then within 6 months we were together.
And did she stay an actress, or did she go?
She's not an actress. She's actually now a writer. She just has had several books published. She had a play done with Judith Ivey.
Wow.
called Women on Fire.
Can we say the name or?
Her name is Irene O'Garden.
Irene O'Garden.
O'Garden. O''Garden. She had a play. She wrote Women on Fire that was done at the Cherry Lane very successfully with Judith Ivey. She had several books published. She just had a book published this last May in the pandemic that is doing incredibly well, called Glad to Be Human, a collection of her essays. She had a memoir published the year before that called Risking the Rapids, about her growing up and
Risking the Rapids had a nice flow to it.
Yes, right, it does. And she took a white water rapid trip with family members. So it's a sort of jumping from the story of this white water trip, intercut with her growing up with these same family members who were on the trip with her. So
let me ask you, since you're both writers in the family, are you each other's first pair of eyes, or do you kind of leave each other alone? And
we are first pairs of eyes, but we don't look at each other's works until they're done. You know, if I don't show her a play, for example, as I'm writing it, I don't only show it to her when I feel that I've completed a first draft. I don't show her scene by scene. And that's the thing with her. When she's done with the book, she'll give it to me to read.
Or she won't show you chapter by chapter. She'll wait until, and you'll wait until, but then you're usually the first to see this.
Yes.
Are you able to be critical or really?
Oh, definitely, absolutely.
Really, yeah.
I've written things that she has definitely not liked. So, yeah, but you know,
that's an interesting dinner conversation.
Nice about it.
Thank you for your honesty, honey. This is a good steak right here. Yeah. And do you have youngins? Do you have?
We are childless by choice.
That's fine and fantastic, and it allowed you the chance to be a writer, because otherwise, all these both of you,
exactly.
Diapers and misery, which is I have 21 and a half children.
Children? Wow. How's the half doing?
Half is not doing well. We're waiting to take the right shape at some point. It's too much inbreeding, but this is what we do, it's my culture. So let me ask, we have a moment or two, but first of all, I would like to, by the way, invite you, John Pielmeier, if you have a little more time, if you want to stay on. Dave is coming back to this program to do the yesterday trivia quiz. And it's not just theater, it's history trivia that you will get to play against, oh my God, I know you hate them, a couple of theater critics. But they're very nice, funny people, usually, and they won't
I'm terrible at these things like that. Sure, I'll stick around. But
yay! So in that case, because you're so nice to do that, I'm going to remind people one more time that tonight on Lifetime Television, wherever that is on your cable box or on your computer screen, please watch The Long Island Serial Killer, A Mother's Hunt for Justice, written by our guest in the Daverhood, John Pielmeier. I also want to direct people, because I love your website.
Thank you.
It isn't just, here's a list of his plays, here's a little bio, boom. I love it. You talk about all your works. You have a little paragraph or two.
Yes.
About so many of the plays and screenplays and the things you've done and acted in and written, and you have historical photographs of you, if you will, of appearing in plays, and you did an Our Town at one point with, who was it somewhere you were? Judith Light. It was a college almost, it
was my first, that was my first professional acting job out of school. It was at Milwaukee Rep.
What was your favorite performance as an actor that you did?
For me, that I did?
Yeah.
A combination. Let's see. Boy, I did I played Cousin Lyman in a production of this Ballad of the Sad Cafe at Actors Theater of Louisville. That was an extraordinary production. I played Billy the Kid in that
that Michael Ondaatje.
Yes. Selected works of Billy the Kid at the Guthrie, those were extraordinary experiences. But I played the boy in Welcome to Andromeda, which is a long one-act play about a quadriplegic and his nurse.
You get all the fun roles, let me tell you.
So, yeah.
Well, Unfortunately, Rabbi Sol Solomon, I have to go back to my congregation. They've been waiting for me this 45 minutes because I tell them every Saturday, just wait, just read the Bible a little bit. I'll come back. You know, they're going to be giving a
You
sermon.
give them specific passages to read?
No, I just hand them back in the Daily News. I just pick one and read it for a while. But it has been an absolute delight and a joy for me to be chatting with John Pielmeier. I want to let people know your website is johnpielmeier.com. I'm going to spell it. John, Pielmeier. Can there be any more E's in your damn name?
I'm always astonished that a crossword puzzle person has not put my name in a crossword puzzle just because they love vowels.
Yeah. Oh, well, please, I had a vowel movement this morning. It was wonderful. Sorry, I don't even know what that means. I'm going to play a little music while I bring Dave back from the green room.
Okay.
To continue the rest of this program.
I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be back.
Oh, fantastic. So there's going to be nobody go away, but you come back. All the people are watching, go read the Bible a little bit. In a minute, Dave will be back in the Daverhood, and so will John Pielmeier.
Thank you, Rabbi. Lovely talking to you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And folks, I will be back with you probably next week, but Dave will be here momentarily.
Hello.
That's kind of the rabbi's dance away music, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. You are watching the 786th episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the stream. We're calling this one Mass Appeal for in honor of our wonderful guest, John Pielmeier, who just talked to Rabbi Sol for a bit, but is going to be playing the Today Yesterday quiz opposite this other person that you see right by, well, he's on the bottom of my screen. I'm not sure where he's showing in yours. But let me make an introduction. John Pielmeier, please say hi to our longtime great friend of the Daverhood, theater critic, David Sheward. Say hi, guys.
Hi, David.
Waving hello.
Good morning.
David is the well, he's the former president of the Drama Desk. He also writes for theaterlife.com, culturalweekly.com, and his blog, which is The David Desk. The David Desk. So his writing's not just about theater, but about culture and society that's been going on. So let me ask you, Dave, are you frozen or are you just thinking about something? Oh, now you're back. So
no, I'm here.
We're waiting for Leslie Hoban Blake, who will be our other. She said she would be taking part, but Leslie being Leslie, she might be a minute or 2 or 5 late. Well, we'll hold off as much as we can.
I see a text. Is that from you or from her?
Is what from me?
I see a text. Is that from Leslie or from you? It says.
What is she saying?
It says waiting. I don't know if it's you or her.
Oh, that's her.
Okay.
She's been waiting. So if she's trying to log on, she has some issues trying to log on. So while she's doing that, first of all, David, not to put you on the spot, but do you have any questions you've always wanted to ask John Pielmeier, the playwright, the guy who wrote Voices in the Dark and Agnes of God and other plays and screenplays? Come on, we're waiting.
How did you feel about the film version of Agnes of God?
I was very pleased with it for the most part. I felt that where we failed in the film script was finding a suitable way to turn the monologues that were in the play, the psychiatrist monologues, into effective scenes in the movie. And I feel mostly the last minute or 2 of the movie doesn't really work, which is too bad. I think that's where the movie, for me, falls down, is the very last few moments of the film. I think the performances are just lovely.
Yeah, the play was one of the first as I recall, it was one of the first ones I ever saw in New York when I first moved here.
Hmm.
And I went to a Wednesday matinee, and Amanda Plummer was out sick, so Mia Dillon did her role.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And
Maya did it for about 2 weeks. I think Amanda was actually on her vacation or something, or was doing a weird thing. And Maya came in 2 weeks. And did the original professional production of it at Actors Theatre of Louisville. She played Agnes there.
Yeah, I think it was, I forget, I think it was a matinee, and it was very electric. Parts of it were quite exciting.
Yeah.
And I think it was at the Music Box, wasn't it?
It was at the Music Box, yes.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, David's good at this sort of. He has that kind of memory. He teaches history and English, right, or just history to high school at these.
I teach English in high school because I can't make a living as a theater critic.
Good ever. So here's the deal, folks.
The numbers dwindling.
We're kind of waiting for Leslie, but I'm not going to wait, because we have a special guest here. So I'm going to read the rules. What is Leslie?
She says keep trying.
No, I wrote that to her. She's saying she's waiting to get in. I said keep trying. But I can certainly tell you the rules of the game because John Pielmeier hasn't heard them. So here's the deal. It's pretty simple. It's a trivia quiz. There are 9 questions and a tiebreaker if necessary. Each question is worth 2 points to the person who can try to answer it. If you get the question wrong, no penalty. So feel free to guess or guess wrong. But another contestant gets the chance to steal the question. So if you get it wrong, the other person does get to try and get it right for 2 points. So, and the idea of the game is that it's kind of a trivia quiz where every single event happened on this date in history. So every question has to do with something that occurred on February 20th, whether it was 100 years ago, 500 years ago, or 50 or 10 years ago. Cool?
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start. I'm going to figure out who among of either of you gets to go first or choose to go first. So, John, do you mind if I call you John?
No, please do.
Oh, wait. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I just had a really happy moment. We're going to say hi to...
That's rather personal.
We all have happy moments like that.
As Whoopi Goldberg said at the Oscars, just clean up when you're done.
Oh, that's nice. Leslie, are you with us? Are you there? It's worth waiting for, I promise you guys. She's a nice lady. Leslie? Yeah. Leslie, can you hear me? Oh, yes. We'll give it another moment, and then we'll quickly get into the game as best we can.
Tell me about the swan.
Oh, well, usually we have these little totems or little animals as mascots to help during the game.
I have a bear. What's going? I can't get in.
Well, Leslie, we hear you. We cannot see you.
There you are.
See you as well.
And this
Hi. There I am. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good
Can
morning.
you hear me?
We can hear you. You're frozen
Yeah.
Visually, but we can hear you. Oh boy, now you're frozen, I believe. All right.
Oh, she's moving.
Hello. I am frozen. No, now I'm not frozen. I was showing my little bear. Where am I? I was showing my little bear. You were showing how you're frozen.
I'm frozen.
No, I'm not frozen. You're all frozen.
No, You're frozen. I'm not frozen.
Good
You're
morning.
For us.
Okay.
It's just me and my bear.
There's a guy in here who's written multi-million-dollar television movies, and he's coping with this guy can't get together. It's like, oh, Leslie, there you are.
I need an animal of some sort, right?
If you have...
Introduce us, please. Hello, introduce us.
Well, hi, Leslie.
Hi, Leslie.
The person that we...
Hi, I'm Leslie. Who is this?
The guest in the Daverhood is John Pielmeier, the author of Agnes of God and Voices in the Dark and Boys. Off the top of my head, I lost it. Boys of Winter, excuse me, as well as numerous television movies, including one, and now everybody's frozen. Oh, now you're back. Including a Lifetime television movie that's happening tonight about Long Island serial murderer. What was it? Long Island serial killer, A Mother's Hunt for Justice, that debuts tonight on Lifetime. So I know you guys are going to watch that. So Leslie, I'm not going to. I'm sorry.
I just said the word exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's premiering tonight on Lifetime Network. So we're going to start the game, Leslie, because we've been waiting. So we're going to start it up. Can you, John Pielmeier, I'm going to ask you kindly to pick a number between 1 and 6.
Am I going first to pick?
I'm asking John.
No, the guest is first.
Do I pick?
No, I'm asking John Pielmeier.
It's going in and out, David. I can barely make out what's going on.
All right. So, I don't know, Leslie, we're having.
Oh, of course. I know. John, I know your name. I did not know your face, of course. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning anyway, but yes, I know your name.
So, John, are you able to hear me? Are you able to, because everybody's sort of dipping and freezing and oh boy.
I can hear you. You're a little frozen. Now you're not.
Great.
So I'm to pick a number between 1 and 6.
Please, yes.
Do I say it aloud?
Oh, yes, please. Yes.
3.
I'm going to be right back. I'm going to get my earphones. That may help.
So John is 3.
I can't hear a damn thing.
Well, Leslie, before you, can you just pick a number between 1 and 6, please? Les, all right.
I'll pick 2. David.
I got it.
2.
Very good. Okay. And David Sheward, kindly pick between 1 and 6.
All right. So John, what was John's number?
John's number was 3.
And Leslie's was 2.
Correct.
All right. So I'll pick 4.
4. Okay, David Sheward picks the number 4. Now I get to the roll. I thought this was going to save so much time. We're going to roll a die, and the number comes up 5, which is closest to David's number. So, David Sheward, you choose. Would you like to go first, second, or third? You're frozen.
I'll go first.
You go first. Okay, David Sheward gets to go first. Okay, I'm going to roll the die again. Here we go. Oh, now my internet connection is unstable, so I apologize for that. Let's try this. It came up number 2. So Leslie, do you prefer to go second or third?
I prefer to go second, thank you.
You betcha.
Second, 2.
Even though he's our guest, I'm afraid that John, you are going third. Okay.
That's totally fine.
It's just the questions are pre-written. It makes it more random as to who gets what question. So We're ready to begin. I apologize for taking so long with this, but it's the pandemic. It's technical. It is what it is. So the first question, and these again are all events that happened on February 20th in history. David Sheward.
Okay.
Question is for you, and we go back to a year I know you remember well, 1280 AD.
Yes, I do remember quite well.
The Japanese imperial court orders all temples and shrines to pray for victory because they were about to be invaded for a second time by this guy, the leader of the Yuan dynasty. Name him.
12, what was the 12?
I'll read it again. The year was 1280. The Japanese imperial court orders all temples and shrines to pray for victory because they were about to be invaded for a second time by this guy, the leader of the Yuan dynasty.
Well, this is a period of history which I'm not, not an expert on, and the only 2 names that come to mind are Genghis Khan or Attila the Hun, and I have no idea when they were around. So I'm just going to guess and say Attila the Hun.
No, I didn't hear it. I didn't hear you.
At least with my answer.
Did you say
Attila the Hun?
Oh, okay.
Attila the Hun.
Final answer, Attila the Hun. Well, darling, sweetheart, Hun, I'm afraid that is the wrong answer. So we're going to do a die to see who might get to steal this question. Let's roll it. And the number comes up on the die, number 4. Well, that's David's number initially, but it is closest to John's. So John Pielmeier, you get to try and steal this question. Do you need me to read it again?
Sure. I know the answer.
Oh.
It's Jackie Chan. Right? Right?
Well,
Older than he looks.
I don't know if you want to go with that. You could.
There's no penalty with going with that, right?
No penalty.
And I could win 2 points.
You could if the answer were Jackie Chan, and you came up with that answer up top. So, get it? That's a little Jackie Chan.
Oh, Mr. Peabody.
I know. So are you going to go with that?
I'm trying to think of any other Chinese emperors that I know.
David, is this interference?
Is what? We didn't hear you, Les.
I acted in a production of
I just want to know if the interference is because of snow or something.
How do I know?
Maybe.
It might well be. I mean, because we usually don't have this level of freezing and chopping and whatever. So, but
the emperor that Marco Polo came in contact with, or that was many years later? That was in the 1400s.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to give hints or to. So yeah.
So some sort of external, because it's driving me nuts here.
I know. I'm wondering if we just do audio on you, Les, would that be? I would hate to lose your video, but I'm wondering, is your audio clear, or is that freezing as well?
That's okay. David just went also.
No, I'm
not having as much of a problem with.
You want to try that? See if it's better. David's back. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, stick around, David. Let's see.
Yeah, I was just making sure.
Anyway, John.
Because you're freezing and I can't understand what you're saying, and it's making me nuts. But you can hear me okay? You can hear me all right?
You come in and out, Leslie. Sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't. So
frozen.
Yeah, you're frozen now. John, what answer?
So you want me to turn off my
I don't know the name.
Yeah,
I'll turn off my video.
Try turn off the video, please.
You can also mute.
Yeah,
I don't know the
it's
name.
not turning off.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of the emperor, but I was in a production of Chinese Wall many years ago, and that emperor is my guess. I don't know who.
John, did you get the right answer?
The emperor with the Chinese Wall guy, that really doesn't count as an answer.
I can't count.
That's
I'll go with Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan. Okay, Leslie, if you can hear me, if you're okay. John did not get the right answer. David did not get the right answer. Do you want to try and give an answer that we might be able to hear?
Oh, shit. I just dropped my coffee again. All right, this is not a good day. This is a very bad day.
Yeah.
It's not funny. I have coffee all over the floor. I'm going to get up and kill myself. Okay. I mean, when I get up, I will slide and kill myself. All right, let's just...
So it would be...
12 something or other?
1280 was the year. The Japanese Imperial Court orders all temples...
Just give me the question, please.
Give me the question because
part of it.
They were about to be invaded for a second time by this guy, the leader of the Yuan dynasty. Can you name him? After you shoot yourself, Leslie, can you shoot?
I think David was on the right track. I think it was Khan, but I think it was Kublai Khan. I don't think it was Genghis Khan. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Is that your final answer, though?
Do you want me to write it down and hold it up to the camera?
Maybe, but if we might get to that point. But I heard you. What you said, Kublai Khan. Is that your final answer?
Yes.
I said Kublai Khan, not Genghis Khan.
I know. Is that your final answer? Is Kublai Khan?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, you're right.
Earlier.
Jesus Christ. Yay. Well done. So that was a very good con job, Leslie Hoban Blake. Leslie.
That was right?
Yes,
Oh,
correct. Okay.
Well, it makes up for last week. At least I don't have a goose egg this week.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Leslie is leading the game. All right. Leslie, you also get our second question because you go second. So are you ready for, well, just answer it. The year is 1670.
Yeah, as much as I'm going to be. Yes. All I'm thinking of is coffee on the floor. Go ahead.
1673 is the year.
No coffee, it's all done.
1673. Taking place in London.
No, I can't hear you.
You can't. Oh, sorry. I'm.
Say it again.
Okay, one more
Didn't
time.
hear a thing.
I'm sorry. In 1673, taking place in London today is an auction, notable for being the first ever auction of what? This is a multiple choice. Was it wine, slaves, Egyptian mummies?
Dave, I'm just gonna have to disqualify myself.
Okay,
I can't, I heard something about London today, but I don't know when.
hang on. All right. And we, Leslie, I
I
appreciate.
mean, just say goodbye.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Leslie. Thank you so much for being.
Leaving a winner at the moment.
I'm sorry,
you know.
I'm feeling tired. Would have
Yeah.
been nice to get to talk to or be with you. But
Yeah.
this is crazy.
Clean the coffee stain.
I'm going.
Hopefully we'll see you next week.
This is make you.
Thank
Give me
you.
the question one more time, Dave. Dave, give me the question one
All right, one more time.
time.
1673 is the year. Taking place in London today is an auction, notable for being the first ever auction of what? A, wine.
Nothing. Okay. Bye. Sorry.
I just read the question. Well, let me.
David, I'm going to come back on my telephone.
Okay.
Come
Good
back
idea.
on my phone.
Okay. Yeah. Call in.
I'm going to come back on my phone.
Yeah. Actually, that's great. Do it. So I want to remind everybody that Dave's Gone By, amazingly enough, has been on the air for more than 18
I'm
years.
going to leave this and go back on my phone.
Yes, please do. Please do now. Yes? Okay. I'm just going to, yeah. Leslie, no offense.
Got it.
You? Okay. Well, that was Leslie's question. I'll read it to you guys so you can come up with an answer in case you get the steal.
Okay.
Taking place in London today is an auction notable for being the first ever auction of what? Was it A, wine, B, slaves, C, Egyptian mummies, or D, tobacco? Okay, so those are the choices. It was one of those. Was it wine, slaves, Egyptian mummies, or tobacco?
Wine, slaves, Egyptian mummies, tobacco. Okay.
Good Lord, what was that?
What?
it's all
That
just
wasn't from Leslie's.
and she's supposed to be mute. I muted her. I don't even know why we heard that. Oh, I'm going to admit her on this.
I can't get out.
Hold on.
Oh, there. Okay.
She's going to join us in a
Oh,
different
now she's coming in on the phone.
on the telephone. Yes. Okay.
Okay. That's the only way I can do it.
All right, fine, fabulous. Welcome back, Leslie. Leslie Hoban Blake in the Daverhood. By the way, you can watch her and Charlie Gross on the I think I'm going to feed back now, but Charlie Gross on the can you turn your audio down? Is there a play in this, John?
There we go.
Again, John,
There we
yes.
go.
I know who John is. I'm very impressed.
No, she
Okay.
got the other thing. She got one of the other feet.
Hello.
Hi, Leslie. We're doing a game
Hi.
here.
I missed my turn, didn't I?
No. We waited for you.
Yeah.
We-
I won.
Oh, you're very sweet. Thank you. I couldn't
that's
hear a
better.
thing.
Much better. Okay,
This is
Leslie, are
much
you ready
better.
for here's the question. The year was 1673. There was an auction in London today, notable for being the first ever auction of what? Was it wine, slaves, Egyptian mummies, or tobacco?
Year again was?
Was wine?
No, what was
slave-
the year?
What?
What was the
1680.
year?
1673.
73.
Okay.
First auction was it of A, wine, B, slaves, C, Egyptian mummies, or D, tobacco?
Ah, wow.
Mm.
I would say tobacco.
Is that your final answer?
Well, it's between slaves and tobacco, and I don't know the answer, so I'm going to say tobacco.
Well, I'm afraid you are not smoking, Leslie. That is not the correct answer. So we get a chance for one of our other two contestants to steal. We hit a number 2, which is Leslie's direct number, and it's also directly between the other two. So I'm going to roll again. This time we hit a 1, which is closer to John's 3, because remember, John, you picked number 3 early in the game. So you get to answer this question in
So the choice is
1673.
wine, slaves, mummies, right?
Wine, slaves, Egyptian mummies.
I'll go with the wine.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
Well, sir, you are drunk with success. It is, in fact, the correct answer. It was the first auction of wine. It took place in London back in 1673 on February 20th. Well done.
What was the year? 1672? The Bible?
You were there. You remember.
Or maybe even 1673.
Well, the idea was that wine that old already, they knew that certain vintages were good. I don't know. I guess that was cool. And John, you should feel very proud, because we have had guests on this show who got no points, who had no luck in this game, and you are already on the board, which is a lot better than a lot of our first-timers do. Not only that, you're tied with Leslie for first place. You each have 2 points, and you get the next question, so you can take the lead if you get this right. So here we go. And Leslie, you look great. That you should do this every week. This is much better.
I look better on the phone. Huh? Okay, thank you.
Anywho, 1816 was the year. John Pielmeier, 1816, premiering tonight in Italy is this opera, which features such supporting characters as Dr. Bartolo, Basilio, and Count Almaviva. Name that opera.
Oh, the Duchess of Malfi. An adaptation of the Duchess of Malfi.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
I'm afraid you've gotten yourself in Dutch, my friend. That is not the correct answer. So one of our other contestants, David or Leslie, gets to steal. Roll the friggin' thing. There we go. And the steal comes to the number 5, which is closer to David Sheward. So David Sheward, I will read the question again. You get to steal for potentially 2 points. Premiering 1816 tonight in Italy is this opera, which features such supporting characters as Dr. Bartolo, Basilio, and Count Almaviva. Name that opera.
I believe it is The Barber of Seville.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, you won that one by a hair. Yes, indeed. David Sheward, that is correct. It was Rossini's The Barber of Seville. Oh, is it?
John Pielmeier, I must tell you that The Duchess of Malfi is one of my very favorite pre-Shakespearean plays.
There's some gorgeous verse in it. And there's actually a character named Dr. Bartolf, I think, in it, which is why I went to that with that answer.
I chose The Barber because I was in a long time ago, I acted in the play version of The Barber of Seville by Beaumarchais. And I played Don.
Who did you play, Dave?
I played Don Bazile.
Cool. Oh, so you would have.
Who was the girl's music teacher.
Yeah. Of course, Figaro's in there too. I want to mention him because then
the naughty music teacher.
Yes, and one couple actually came to the play and said, "Well, who's singing tonight?" And we said, "Well, we're not doing the opera. We're doing the play."
Oh, that happened to me. I was once reading James Joyce's The Dead, and people were saying, "Wait, where's the music?" Because they saw the James Lapine musical in it. No, I'm just kidding. Anywho, that was terrible. But what's wonderful is that we have a 3-way tie. This is really exciting. Round 1, we've made it through round 1, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And each person has 2 points. We now get to round 2. David begins round 2 with the first question here, and we move all the way up to 1872. Okay. 104. I'm sorry?
Practically yesterday.
Well, 149 years ago today, the Metropolitan Museum of Art opened its doors to the public. Among Leslie, are you
I'm a little frightened at the moment.
I'm sorry. I thought if I turned the phone, I wouldn't. God.
Okay, so the Metropolitan Museum
go ahead.
Open today.
Play your game.
Go ahead.
The Metropolitan Museum of Art opens its doors to the public today. Yeah. Among the attendees was a budding novelist who called the museum, quote, the charming little academy in the Fifth Avenue. Name that writer whose first novel was Watch and Ward, published the year before, and whose last was The Outcry.
Watch.
I'll read it again. So, to writing about the opening of Metropolitan Museum of Art 149 years ago today, in 1872, was this budding novelist who called the museum the charming little academy in Fifth Avenue. Name that writer whose first novel was Watch and Ward, published just the year before, and whose last novel was Outcry.
Watch and Ward, and the last novel was Outcry.
What a good question.
All right, well, it's not Nathaniel Hawthorne, and I don't care if I give it away. I'll think aloud. Let's see, 1879?
1872.
And so this, and I'm assuming it could be a woman. It could be a woman. Maybe that it was. Could it be Louisa May Alcott? I'm trying to figure out the dates here. It could be Louisa May Alcott because she was a girl during the Civil War, and she went in Little Women. Her heroine goes to New York. So I'm going to guess and say Louisa May Alcott.
Final answer?
Yes.
I'm afraid Alcott is all wrong. No, it is not the correct answer. So we get a steal opportunity for John Pielmeier or Leslie Hoban Blake. Let's see who. We come up with the number 3, which means John Pielmeier can try and steal this question. Let me know if you want me to read it again.
No, you don't need to read it again. I mean, my guess would be William Dean Howells, but that's probably wrong.
We will. I mean,
I see by your expression that is a wrong answer.
John, you're not
that's not my final answer.
I thought I was.
I gotta. Yeah. Let's see. Who else was writing back then? Edith Wharton. That's not her. She didn't write those books. Mark Twain. No, it's not his. Oh man. Was it? No, you said budding novelist, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. It wasn't Willa Cather. I pass on this. I don't know.
Well,
so William Dean Howells.
We're gonna go with William Dean Howells. Well,
totally wrong.
I'm afraid, yeah, we didn't know how well you'll do on that. Not well was the answer. I'm sorry. So, Leslie Hoban Blake, I do believe that this is now yours to steal.
There's so many names that have been thrown around, but the name that I'm thinking of hasn't been mentioned. So, I'm just afraid that it's the wrong time period. Who was a reviewer in 1872 is what we need to remember. Not just who was a novelist, but who was actually a journalist and reviewing. And the only person that comes to mind, but the year is wrong, I think, is Jack London. But I think he was later. But I don't have.
Can I give you a hint?
If it was a woman, if it was a woman, it would have been Nellie Bly. If it was a woman, it would have been Nellie Bly, I think. But she wasn't a novelist, so.
And John, you were going to say?
What?
John, what? Here's a hint. What about Henry James?
I don't think he ever wrote anything called The Outcry.
Yeah, I didn't recognize any of those titles by anybody. So
I'm going to stick with Jack London, wrong though it may be. I will not second guess my first guess.
Okay. Well, Leslie, I'm afraid your London Bridge has fallen down because that is not the correct answer. And guess what? John, you're right. It was Henry James.
Henry James.
Oh, he gave me.
Can I get 1 point for that?
I'm sorry, man. No, it doesn't work like that.
It does sound like something James would say. That it's a
Fifth Avenue, New Yorker. he was around at the time, and he'd just written his last novel was called Outcry. In between, of course, he wrote Daisy Miller, Turn of the Screw, and Washington Square and all of that stuff. So anyway, all right, we still have a 3-way tie
Wow.
in our game. This is good. This is
I have to take a very quick break. I'll be right back.
by all means, please. Let's see. Fifth question goes to Leslie anyway. So John doesn't have to be. By the way, since we have a moment break,
You can hear us.
I want to remind you that you're watching Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz. It's our 786th episode. We're calling it Mass Piel, and we're playing the Today Yesterday trivia game with Leslie Hoban Blake of Critics Circle with Charlie Gross, and you can watch that on YouTube. What is the latest Critics Circle?
I'm glad you asked. We got your lovely Jessica Scher to come and talk because she's doing she went out to Hoboken to tape her show, and Broadway on Demand will be playing it in March. So we figured that was a great thing to do, and she's a lovely interviewer. I didn't see you interview her, unfortunately, but she's a great interview.
Yeah.
And so she was just charming and lovely, and we saw her do it in her bedroom. I mean, that's so intriguing. She
That's
just
right.
I saw her do it in the bedroom
chair.
too, and then I watched the show. But
David, what she did was she simply sat in a chair and did the script. So the script is sound. I mean, you don't mind watching that much of a script sitting down, but I can't wait to see her move around and see the way it was directed,
The first, as soon as we watched her do it in her bedroom, of course, things left in my mind.
Not even going there. Not even going there, folks. Anyway, welcome back, John Pielmeier. Let's get that next question to Leslie Hoban Blake, which is, it's a theater question. Here we go. The year is 1917. Opening tonight at the Princess Theater is the Jerome Kern and P.G. Wodehouse musical, Oh Boy. Because the story sometimes eased into the songs, it was considered a development in the structure of American musicals. Still, that's a little hard to believe, considering the titles of many of the tunes. Which of these is not a song in Oh Boy?
Whoa, okay.
A, Oh Daddy Please. B, Coolaloo. C, Flubby Dub the Caveman.
Oh God.
And D, Bats in My Baby's Belfry.
I like that last one.
Oh my God. Who is the lyricist on these?
It's Kern and Woodhouse, P.G. Woodhouse.
Oh, P.G. Woodhouse. No, you told me. You said that in the
Sure,
question. Sorry. Okay, so Bats in My Baby's Belfry.
Batman in Your Baby's Belfry. Yeah.
Kumaloo. I missed the other two. Those are the ones.
I'll say them again if you want. It's Oh Daddy Please, Coolaloo, Flubby Dub the Caveman, Bats in My Baby's Belfry, in the musical Oh Boy.
The caveman has to be in it. Nobody could make that up. Not even you, David, could make that one up. So that has to be part of the show. So
let's do a revival at Encores.
Yes.
Great.
At this point, I'm willing to watch anything at this point, Oh, you're wearing a Batman shirt. Hello. Look at that Batman shirt. Okay, anyway.
Pow.
Zowie.
Yes, it's my prop. This is the budget for the entire show. Is in this prop during Today Yesterday quiz.
I took him to lunch when he was doing his Broadway one-man show. I took him to lunch when he was doing George Burns, the Riddler. When the Riddler was doing George Burns.
Yeah. Oh, that was Frank Gorshin, right?
Yes, it was Frank Gorshin, who ate lunch at 1:00 in the afternoon, like a real old-time rat packer, he ate breakfast. I'm sorry, it was his breakfast, not his lunch. Anyway, let's get back to the questions.
Back to the question.
Please, Daddy, please, Kumaloo, something about a caveman and Bats in My Baby's Belfry. I'm going to go with, I know this is going to be wrong no matter what I say. I'm going to go with Kumaloo, and I'm sure there was a Hawaiian number in it. That was one of them.
So that is your final answer?
Yes. What am I going to do? Yeah, David, go ahead. Hit the thing.
Well, I'm afraid that was very uncool, Leslie Hoban Blake. That is not the correct answer. We have the roll of the die to see who gets the steal. We have the number 5 coming up, which is closer to David Sheward.
Okay.
So, David, you get the steal. I'll read the question, or some of the question again. Opening at the Princess Theater tonight, back in 1917, the Kern Woodhouse musical, Oh Boy. It was a development in structuring American musicals, which is surprising considering the titles of some of the songs in there. One of these was not. Okay. Was it Oh Daddy Please, Coolaloo, Flubby Dub the Caveman, Bats in My Baby's Belfry?
Well, they all sound so awful that it sounds like they could have been, that they have to be in the show. So we've eliminated Coolaloo. So it's either Oh Daddy Please, Bats in My Baby's Belfry, or what was the other one?
There's Flubby Dub the
Flubby
Caveman.
Dub the Caveman.
Well, you're wearing your Batman shirt, so.
I'm gonna say, and it's probably something like "Oh Daddy, Please, Please," or "Oh Daddy something." You know, that's just a slight variation. I'm gonna say, "Oh Daddy, Please."
Is that your final answer?
Okay, sure.
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Not that question. That is the incorrect answer. So, John Pielmeier, you
Okay, so you don't need to read it again. So I was going to go with Bats in My Baby's Belfry, but when Leslie said no one could make up that caveman title, you had a smile on your face that made me think, so I'm going to go with a caveman.
Final
So
answer.
this is my fault if you get it wrong, John. That's
all right. No,
it goes.
I'll accept my mistake. It's probably wrong.
Well, you need to go back to psychology class because I fooled you all. The incorrect, or a song that does not exist is "Bats in My Baby's Belfry." I made it up sometime this week. So
That sounded very 1917 PG Wodehouse to me. I don't know.
So
babies.
It has a nice rhythm to it too.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Well, I called it "Bats in My Belfry," and then I said, let me give it like a 1920s twist, and I threw babies in there, and it just felt.
Oh, my baby's got the heebie-jeebies, and she's jumping around. And,
I'm crying because she is flying bats in my baby's belfry, something like that. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, we're moving on to our next question. It's the last question of this round. It's still, by the way, a tie game.
It's stupid to stupid to stupid. Thank you. Yeah.
This game feels like it's 1814. All right, here we go. We get the third question does go directly to John Pielmeier. So, John, the year was 1938. 1938 was the year. Oh, was he mad? Oh, he was mad. This British foreign minister was so mad at the prime minister for signing a treaty with Italy that he resigned. For 1 point each, name these two men, and there's a hint. Years later, this foreign minister would also become a prime minister.
The two men. Name the two men. Oh,
yeah, 1 point each.
It was. Come on. The one he was angry at was who did the treaty with Hitler. Oh man. And boy, I'm feeling really stupid now.
No.
And the later one, oh God, was one who succeeded Churchill. Man, I'm just drawing a total blank. Macmillan sounds like something, but
just tell him Hamilton. Say Hamilton.
My wife is saying Hamilton and Lin-Manuel Noriega. No,
yes.
I'm going to pass on this. I mean, I can't even guess.
Okay. There's no penalty for guessing, but you're gonna.
Jackie Chan.
No, I'm afraid it is not Jackie Chan. But
John, who would win in a fight between Lin-Manuel Miranda and Jackie Chan? That's the question of the day.
So now we roll the dice.
I rolled the dice and it came up number 5. So number 5 is closer to David Sheward. So
Okay.
David Sheward, I'll read the question again.
Okay.
And you're a history teacher, so
Okay.
1938. Oh, he was mad. This British foreign minister was so mad at the prime minister for signing a treaty with Italy that he resigned. For 1 point each, name these 2 men. And years later, the foreign minister would also become a prime minister.
Well, I think the prime minister at that point, I believe, was Neville Chamberlain. And the foreign minister, I don't think it was Churchill. I mean, Churchill did become prime minister later during World War II once Hitler attacked. Maybe it was Churchill. Let me think. Who became prime minister? And Attlee became prime minister after Churchill, I think, but he was Labour. And I don't think he had been prime minister before. I'll just say Winston Churchill is the other one.
Okay, so you're going to say Chamberlain?
Neville Chamberlain and Winston Churchill.
Well, you get 1 point for a correct answer, but the other goes into the chamber pot, except that part. But anyway, so David, you get 1 point, and Leslie, you get to steal 1 point if you know the name of the.
Yes, it was only because of Helen Mirren and the audience. David Sheward. I'm using one of our theatrical references. I believe it was Anthony Eden.
Oh, okay.
Is that your final, Leslie?
Oh yeah, come on. That's as many as I can come up with. I can't pull any more out of my butt. I don't know anybody else.
Well, how incredibly appropriate, Leslie Blake, because John Pielmeier's wife, her last name is O'Garden, and it's an O'Garden of Eden. Well done. That is the correct answer.
That's the stretch.
I know.
Yes, they're all a stretch, David. Come on.
Thank you very
Like
much.
some of them are not a stretch. Please.
Oh, Mr. But well done, Leslie. So you got a point, David, and you got a point, Leslie. It was Anthony Eden who was the foreign minister who became prime minister, and Neville Chamberlain was the guy who, known for appeasing Hitler, but also signed a treaty with Mussolini in Italy.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have 3 for David, 3 for Leslie.
But signing the treaty with Italy was the same reason that Anthony Eden got angry. It was another appeasement.
Well, sure.
He was just appeasing people all over the place,
This is true. Well, he's a people appeaser. What can I tell you?
Oh.
The Leaning Tower of Appeasement.
Thank you very much. All right, we're on.
Has John left us permanently? I don't see him.
No, he's here.
He's still here.
I admire his fortitude. This is
Yes, I do. I admire your fortitude, John.
He's sticking out.
He's getting material for his next script.
Yeah, this is going to be his next TV
yes.
movie.
Yes.
Like the person who does a podcast where technical difficulties are repeated, and there's a psycho running loose who has several personalities.
It would be called Agonies of God.
Yeah.
Well, they've already done Hand to God,
We have our final round. So David gets the first question in our final round. And we finally move into, we were actually already in the 20th century. We go to 1939. February 20th is the day. Fritz Julius Kuhn gave a big angry speech today, saying that his organization was looking for new members so long as the joiners were, quote, sincere, of good character, of white Gentile stock, and American citizens imbued with patriotic zeal. Where did he give this speech?
The Boy Scouts.
I think, that's sort of a tricky. I thought you were going to ask what his organization was. But actually, I think it may be that you're referring to the Nazi or the American Nazi rally that was held at Madison Square Garden. And there was an Oscar-nominated short about it. And they had swastikas and pictures of George Washington and everything. So I'm going to say Madison Square Garden.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, strike up the Bund. That is the correct answer. Well done. It was the big Nazi rally in 1939 at Madison Square Garden. 20,000 people attended. And
they marched down Fifth Avenue. Do you remember the pictures of that? Carrying swastikas and
Well, I wasn't there.
Down Fifth Avenue.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, no, I didn't realize there was also a parade.
Yes, there was a
I know-
parade.
Wow. Not my kind of Halloween parade, let me tell you. But
No.
this puts David in the lead with 5 points, Leslie with 3. John, you're still in the game with 2 points. Our next question.
John, I got 0 last week. I couldn't think of anything. I got 0 last week. That never happened to me before. Go ahead, please. I'm
Leslie
sorry.
has also won round, won games too. So they're formidable opponents, and you're all doing great. Leslie, this question is for you. The year 1950, embarking on a 3-month tour of New York is poet Dylan Thomas. Here's some trivia about Dylan Thomas, only one of which is true. Okay, which of these is true? A, he was only 44 years old when he died. B, although sickly and prone to drink, Thomas spent a year in the RAF during World War II. C, one of his earliest published poems was plagiarized from a magazine. Or D, one of Thomas's unfinished projects was a collaboration on a musical work with Sergei Prokofiev.
I'm sorry. The idea of Dylan Thomas and Sergei Prokofiev just makes me laugh. Which means it's probably true. Okay. So we have the RAF, we have the unfinished musical with Prokofiev, we have his age 44, and then what was the fourth one that I missed?
One of his earliest published poems was plagiarized from a magazine.
Oh, plagiarism. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of them is true and the others are false, or it's the other way around?
In this
One is
particular
true.
case, they're all false except one.
Oh, okay. Only one is true.
Only
One
one
is true.
is true. Leslie, you have a beautiful thumb.
Oh God, thank you. I'm holding the damn phone
Yeah.
because the holder's too far away for me to get. I'm pretty sure he died at the age of 44. I know he was very young. I'm going to say he died at 44.
Okay.
If the Hotel Chelsea were still there was a plaque outside that would have told me exactly the year, but
Final answer?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I'm sorry, I cannot think of a pun for this one. So, but it is not the correct answer. That is not true.
It's not true. Okay.
He probably died at 43.
Or I'm just saying it's not true. I'm
Okay.
gonna roll a die and let's see who gets a chance to steal. We get the number 3, and 3 is John's number. So John Pielmeier, I can read the choices again.
We have plagiarism, Prokofiev, and RAF.
Right.
I'll go with the RAF.
You're going to say that it is true.
No, I'm
That they put him in the
The RAF. No, I'm going to change my mind about that. I'll say the plagiarism.
You're going to say that one is true, and the others
No,
are.
I'm going to go with Prokofiev. That's the one. That's the one I want. I'm just watching your face.
I
you
know. I know.
I'll go with Prokofiev. That's
Prokofiev.
That's my final answer.
Final answer is Prokofiev. You student of psychology, you. Well, Peter, I guess I'm the wolf in this one because that is not the correct answer. Ha!
Okay.
So, David Sheward,
All right.
psychologically speaking, you get a chance to steal these 2 points.
All right. So it's either the plagiarism or the RAF. One of those is true.
One of those is actually true.
I think it's the plagiarism. I'll say plagiarism.
Well, since you've been a journalist for so many years, you do give good copy. Yes, it was in fact the plagiarism. That was a true thing that happened. Let me give you all the fact stuff. Dylan Thomas was only 39 when he died, amazingly enough. And what the plagiarism thing was, 40 years after it was published, a poem called His Requiem turned out to be by Lillian Gard. Lillian Gard's daughter spotted the poem in a collected works of Dylan Thomas and said, wait, my mom wrote that. And as for the other one, by the way, Dylan Thomas was collaborating with Igor Stravinsky, who ended up writing a musical piece called In Memoriam Dylan Thomas in 1954.
Oh.
So it wasn't
Wow.
Prokofiev, it was Stravinsky. So
You want to hear the craziest thing?
sure.
I translated Dylan Thomas into Brendan Behan, and I kept thinking it can't be the RAF because he was in a Borstal. So I totally screwed up who I was thinking of. So that's okay.
And Dylan Thomas was so sickly and drunk that they would not,
Oh,
he
yeah.
did not serve in the military.
Oh yeah, I think he died at the Chelsea.
Oh,
One of them died. Either he or
White
Brendan Behan
Horse
died at the
Tavern.
Chelsea.
The White Horse Tavern.
Yeah, he
Oh, was it
collapsed
the
on the
White
White
Horse
Horse. I
Tavern?
think he died in hospital.
But
Collapsed
he
on the
got,
White Horse. They took him to the hospital. He died at like St. Vincent's or something like that.
Oh, our beloved St. Vincent.
and he got very drunk at the White Horse. Yeah.
Yeah.
is there any other way to be? And by the way, everybody avoid, what is it, the Red Hook Tavern in Brooklyn, because they fired that waitress. So don't go there if you.
Oh yeah, I'm going to go out to Red Hook and not go
Why,
to that.
I didn't hear that. Why did they fire her?
Because she was pregnant
Paramount.
and she's deciding, at least for the moment, not yet to get the vaccine.
Oh.
And the restaurant is requiring all its
Oh.
employees to. It's a tough.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Talking about it earlier, but they fired her. Pregnant woman, waitress, hardworking. I don't know.
And reasonable problem for pregnant women at this point is that we don't know what the outcome of the vaccine will be. So it's not like she's just going, I'm an anti-vaxxer. It's
Right.
not that.
Yeah.
You have to give her certain points for that.
Well, speaking of points, we're giving David Sheward 5 points, Leslie 3, and John 2. But this last question does go to John. So, John, let's hear it.
Yeah.
Here we go. The year 1962. Okay. A year after Yuri Gagarin and Herman Titov put Russia first in the space race, John Glenn became the first American to orbit the Earth. What was the name of the spacecraft?
Oh. Boy,
That's something we should all know.
I know. We should all know.
And I don't.
The Mercury, something.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, that is. I know it's wrong, but it's final.
Well, I've taken the temperature of your answer, and it is not Mercury. It is not the correct answer, John. So we get a chance for a steal here. Leslie, I believe you can tie if this roll goes to you. It goes to the number 2, and number 2 is Leslie's direct number. So, Leslie, can you take a guess, or if you know it?
I will. Give me just a second because
Sure.
I thought somebody would get it before me. As I said, we should all know this, so I don't know it either. John Glenn John Glenn. And he wasn't alone in it. It's the one that it was in the movie. This is the one from the movie, for God's sake. Challenger blew up. The Apollo.
Is that your...
That's my only answer. Yeah.
By Zeus, Apollo is not the right answer. So, David Sheward, you now get to maybe steal the question.
Right. I think
Yeah.
I'm going to say Friendship 7.
Whoa.
All right. Is that going to be your final answer?
Yes. Yes.
You gotta have friends. Where'd you pull that from? It was the Friendship 7. Well done, David Sheward. Oh my God.
You know how I knew that?
No.
Because in a very, very bad movie called Muscle Beach Party, Annette Funicello gets into a fight with the Italian actress, some Italian actress, who was actor Frankie Avalon. And she says, either you leave him alone or I'm going to punch you so hard, it's going to make, you'll go into orbit and it'll make Friendship 7 look like a badminton thing.
And this is how we remember. Yeah, I mean, it was the correct, fantastic. And what is actually really fantastic is that the Friendship 7 is still on display at the National Air and Space Museum. You can go see
Right. It was so funny when I said Friendship 7, your face was like, what? How did you
Yeah,
know
give the
that?
game away. I was like, yeah. Well, first of all, David Sheward, you've technically won the game. You've got so
Oh,
many.
he actually won the game. There's nothing technical. He won the game.
Congratulations.
It's not over yet.
Technical.
The game is not over.
Well, we just for funsies, we have the tiebreaker, which we ask anyway. And John, you're a writer. Do you have a pen and paper near you?
A pen
Can
and
you
paper,
see
yes.
that all of my
Pencil.
paper is
Well, let
full
me
of
get
coffee stains
paper.
because I
Okay.
spilled my coffee all over it?
Oh, yeah. It's
Yep.
very simple because everybody gets to answer the final question at the same time. So I read the question, and then you write the answer down, and then when I do like a 3, 2, 1, everybody shows the answer all at once. So
Better be Jackie Chan. That's all I can say.
hey, you might get the this is more like modern social entertainment history, so it's not a big, heavy, dark one. So David's running to get a pen and paper. I want to, by the way, take this opportunity to thank all of you for playing this game. Leslie, you can see Leslie and Charlie Gross in their podcast show. And it's a video podcast on YouTube. It's called Critics Circle. Their most recent episode includes our friend to the Daverhood, Jessica Scher, who's doing her show about Betty Davis Ain't for Sissies. Do you do the show once every 2 weeks, Les? Is that the...
Well, they were showing our last show for the last month and a half because we didn't have a new one up. So
Right.
this is our first one. I would say it's about once a month at this point. It's just, getting the energy up to do it and then getting it up. I mean, we've been reviewing and we've been putting the reviews up on YouTube, but actually getting an interview has just, I don't know, the thrill is gone kind of thing at this moment in time.
All right. Well,
I
and
just-
also, yeah,
Yeah, I'm getting it's 1 year into the pandemic blues at this point,
I hear you.
We'll try to get back to a regular schedule.
But I do want to remind people that all the older episodes of Critic
yes,
Circle
they're
are there at that channel on YouTube, the Critic Circle channel, and not to mention the Two on the Aisle channel, where Leslie and Charlie have been for years reviewing theater and doing their show. So
Well, yours was there too, David, with Jeff. I mean, it
Yeah.
goes back to 15 years, which is when you were doing it.
more than
I've been there for
25
12.
years, Les.
Oh,
Did
but I've only been there for 12, so
Charlie put up an episode that I was on from 1994.
I saw
I
that.
had hair. I had such beautiful hair. I can't believe it. Anyway, David Sheward, by the way, he wrote a biography of George C. Scott. Was it Rage and Glory?
Yes.
Rage and Glory. And he's also readable in his blog, The David Desk, as well as theaterlife.com, culturalweekly.com. And want to thank so much also, of course, most of all, to our very, very special guest in the Daverhood, John Pielmeier. Remember that johnpielmeier.com is the website where you can read all about all the stuff he's written, because he's got little blurbs about so many of his plays and screenplays, and find out what he's up to and what he's doing. Plus, tonight on Lifetime Television, the teleplay that he wrote all about the Long Island serial killer. Much, much great fun. That is
John, who's in the movie?
Kim Delaney is the.
Really? Okay. Nice.
It was shot in Vancouver, so all the other actors are Canadian actors.
Right.
So.
I had an opportunity to be in it, and I decided not to do it because I would have had to quarantine for 2 weeks for 1 day of shooting, and I thought,
Right.
Yeah.
In lovely Toronto or someplace, right?
it was in
Vancouver.
Vancouver. So
Yeah, I remember.
Lovely. Anyway, it's time for our non-tiebreaker question, because David's already won the game, but just for funsies, February 20th, 1987 is the year. After 3,189 broadcasts, this original anchor left Good Morning America to pursue other projects, among them a number of walk-through New York documentaries on PBS. Name that host. So kindly write it down if you know, or take a guess.
what was the date again?
It was 1987. This original anchor left Good Morning America to pursue other projects, among them a number of walk-through New York documentaries on PBS. Name,
I only know his last name. Is that okay?
yeah, is Chan. Chan. No,
Or KHAN.
All right, are you all ready? When I count down from 3, you'll just hold up your signs and we'll see who gets the points on this. Ready, guys? 3, 2, 1. Show me what you got.
Nothing.
Oh, do we have anything from John or?
Nothing.
No, sorry. But yes, we have 2 correct answers. It was, in fact, David Hartman, who was one of the original. He and Nancy Dussault were the original hosts, if you remember that, on Good Morning America. And amazing that David Hartman is still alive. He's still
I kept wanting to write Phil Hartman, and I knew it wasn't Phil Hartman. I just remembered the lesson. Do you see the coffee all over all of this?
Yeah.
You think I was joking about dropping coffee? It's all over the floor. Oh, God. And now I have to clean up the floor. Thank you for. Now, may I ask a question? Is it my computer, or is it something to do with the snow on the towers out where you are? Because we've never had that problem before.
But your phone has been fine. This has been so much.
My phone is not the issue. I want to know if there's something wrong with my computer.
I doubt it. I mean, you sometimes have issues logging in to the show.
Yeah, logging in is not. I couldn't hear you. Everything. I mean, it was complete kaput. So I just very worried. I'll keep my phone next to us for next week, just in
please
case.
do that. That would be really, so that way, just in case.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Lovely meeting you, sort of, John.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of meeting you. Lovely.
Thank you.
Oh, and by the way, the swan is a tablespoon measure.
Oh.
Oh.
And I
Well,
have a whole set of them.
while we're talking about things, my daughter-in-law made this little hoodie for my bear.
This is what happens in pandemic. This is what people do. Yeah, it's adorable though.
Dave, who is your animal?
Actually, she did it before, but
My animal is, of course, Potato. He's my spirit animal, if you will. Not so much a couch potato, just a joyful, smiling potato. It's the opposite of who I am in real life. All my good qualities are in this potato.
And John, with all those things in your room, what is your spirit animal?
My spirit animal. I'd have to run upstairs to get it. It's a bear, probably.
Oh, well, I've got all of these bears. I'm a tremendous bear freak. So is David Sheward. Right, David?
Elephants more than bears.
Okay, never mind. Well, I'm the bear freak then.
I also have an elephant in here somewhere, too.
Next week, I'll show you the closet with my bears in them.
It's interesting that both of them are bears and yet they're polar opposites.
Oh, I'm going through a tunnel. I'm sorry.
Folks, it has been absolutely delightful having each and every one of you in the Daverhood. Thank you, John Pielmeier. Congratulations on the movie that's happening tonight on Lifetime, and many, many more movies. And write some more plays, please.
John, it should be a fantastic rating because you got the word serial killer in the title.
I know, but it's also, I think it's Lifetime's 400th original movie.
Oh, so it's a big deal on top of that.
Big deal for them. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
I'm so delighted to meet you. Agnes. Oh my God, there I am. I haven't seen myself here. Agnes of God was one of my very favorite plays of all time.
Thanks very much.
Oh, that's lovely. And that's a critic saying, I know you don't read the critic, but you can hear the critics.
No, it doesn't matter. It just happens to be true. That's all. I mean,
Thank you.
It is a truth.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for the delight and the fun.
Bye.
Stay healthy. And I'm gonna have to
Thank the rabbi for me again, please.
Oh, I will.
Oh, David, I got it.
If you two are speaking, I don't know.
It isn't till April.
Yeah, he doesn't like me very much, but I make overtures. I buy him babka. Eventually we'll get along.
Vodka or babka?
Babka, from.
It sounded like vodka.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah. Anyway, goodbye, folks, and thanks. I'm going to drop you all out from the show, but thank you so much for being with us on this Saturday morning.